what's up, guys? John here. Rents are falling in 27 cities now across America, and they're only rising in about 8 cities. But my forecast is that rents are going to drop across America. I'm putting my own money where my mouth is on this decision because over the last about 12 months, I've been telling people that I think rents are actually going to fall. They're not just going to, stay where they are now. We're going to start to see a lot more inventory hit the market. As this market turns, what's going to happen? Home sellers that missed the market are going to list their properties for rent, bringing out more supply. We have 1.5 to 1.7 million new homes set to hit the market over the next 12 months. What's going to happen with these home builders? Interest rates just went from 3% to 6.5%. A lot of their buyers they thought they had, they no longer are likely going to have. Those buyers are then going to probably hold back. And then those property developers are either going to have to list their properties for rent, bringing out even more supply, or sell to a private equity firm, which will ultimately probably rent them. So I believe what we're going to be seeing here is a very, very big move with increased inventory all across the country. We're going to start to see this, and this is going to change the game. I think we're going to see rents fall in such a massive way. In fact, I'm going to walk you through a property that I just sold last year in Los Angeles, and I'll show you everything, step by step, the property address, everything, what happened, and where I see rents going in LA, and why I ended up selling the property. For the most part, life changed. I had some changes in my life. I sold this property. And I'll take you through this whole entire tour here. So please hit the like button. When you hit the like button, YouTube's going to share this content to educate more people about what's really going on in the housing market. So rents are tumbling in 27 of US's biggest cities and still rising in 8, right? And so look at some of these numbers here. In Iowa, median one-bedroom apartment, $880. Month over month change, down 6.4%. Year over year, down 12%. Anchorage, Alaska, it was $1,050 for a one-bedroom, down 6.3%. Median year over year, 1%. Chicago, $1,830 for a one-bedroom, down 6.2%. Year over year change, 26.20%. Irving, Texas, $1,390, down 6.1% month over month, 12.1% for the year. Plano, Texas, $1,450, down 5.8%, 11.5% for the year. But you look at the trends here. It's very clear. Nashville, down Austin, San Fran, Vegas, Raleigh, North Carolina, Orlando, Denver, Seattle. All of these markets are seeing rentals just falling in value. Now you have these: Portland, slightly increasing. LA, slightly increasing. Salt Lake City, slightly increasing. Cleveland, Columbus, San Diego, St. Louis, and Orange County. But you look at the increases, they're very subtle. And I think that this is going to change, and change in a very, very big way. So I've said this for a while. A lot of people have said, no, John, you're completely wrong. What's going to happen in the housing market is that we are going to, see increased interest rates. It's going to push a lot of these buyers into the rental market. There's going to be so much more demand for rentals, and because of that, prices are going to increase. Well, I bought this property here in LA. So if you know LA, this is downtown in Los Angeles. This is Santa Monica, the pier. This is Venice. So I bought a property right here, right next to USC. So in USC, there's a main strip called Exposition Boulevard. I bought a property right here, about a block and a half southwest of USC. This is many years ago. But back then, rents were only between $850 and $900 for an apartment there, because the neighborhood was very undesirable. People didn't want to live there. Now a rental in this market, $2,000 for one bedroom. $2,000. So rents have increased 100% or more over just the last 5 years. And as that was happening, I bought that property cheap. I paid $420,000 for this property. It was 3 units. And this was back in January 1st of 2017. We closed March of 2017. So for $425,000, $425,000. And back then the mortgage was only $1,721 for 3 units, $1,721. We ended up doing construction on this property in the back and building 2 units in the back unit, right? In the back lot there. So it became 4 units. 1 unit was taken down, 2 more units were built. And, we ended up renting out the units throughout the years. But what ultimately happened is we were getting, about $2,000, a little bit more per unit, over $2,000. It was pretty crazy. And when everything shut down back in March of 2020, I was looking around saying, you know what? Everything just doesn't make sense. There's no way that they're going to be lifting this moratorium anytime soon. This is going to get extended and extended and extended for years. This is not going to be a 1-year thing. And so when everything happened, I'm like, you know what? Not a big deal. I'm just going to hold the property. I'll let everything kind of sit. And then the market started just taking off in LA. And I was like, you know what? Maybe the move would be to exit if we get a big break in the moratorium where people start to think, hey, everything's over, everything's going to be, completely fine. And I'm like, okay, and during that entire period, we had some changes in our life happen. So we're like, you know what, maybe we'd consider a sale. And so what ultimately happened is interest rates were still relatively low. They were about to take off. They were about to start picking up a little bit. At least that was my belief. And the moratorium was extended, and it was like the height. I mean, the height was September of 2021 in Los Angeles. I exited this in June of July of 21, right? July 21st was when it officially closed. And so it was about 6 weeks before the actual height of the market. So you couldn't have timed it any better. And so sold it for 1.3 million, 1.3 million 70, almost 1.4. But we paid 420 for it, right? So, and we lived there basically rent free because there was rental income coming in. So, I mean, this is what people should be doing. If you are, when you want to buy your first real estate deal, you don't know what to do, how to buy, don't buy a deal based on today's rents, because today's rents are going to change. There's no doubt about it. That's always been my forecast with this. I'm like, how can people afford $2,000 now when you have increased food costs? You're going to start seeing more unemployment. You're going to start to see all these changes happening in the economy. You're going to start to see more defaults across the board, and you're going to see a lot more home sellers and mom and pop property owners listing their properties, trying to get tenants in there. And what I think is going to happen is we're going to start to see these rents go from $2,000 to $1,800 to $1,600 to $1,500. And as that's happening, California and a lot of other states are converting offices and converting shopping centers and parking lots and all these different things into housing, right? So they're going to be bringing in all this new inventory across the country. I believe we're going to start to see rents fall. And so if you look at this deal, for example, they paid $1,370,000 for it. They put $270,000, hypothetically, I'm not going to share their personal information, how much they put it down, but a traditional buyer would put 20% down on this. 4-unit property, conventional, right? 20% down. It'd be $274,000 down. Your mortgage payment on this deal would be $8,260 per month. So if you have 4 units and each unit is renting for $2,000, that's $8,000. So if you have no expenses, no landscaping, you have no issues, nothing ever breaks on the property, you have no lapse in vacancies, nothing, it's all perfect, you'd make $260 a month. $260 a month. Ridiculous, right? That's not going to happen. At today's interest rates of 6.476%. And by the way, you would need perfect credit, 800 and above, to get that rate, right? So what I believe is going to happen is we're going to see this property, as well as millions of other ones like it, over the next year or two, really get punished in value as rents start to fall. No doubt about it. If the cost to borrow money is increasing and rents are coming down, what's ultimately going to happen? Obviously, values are going to come down to a place in which a buyer would actually want to pay to enter the deal. People aren't going to buy deals that are going to be, yielding negative cash flow, especially in a place like California, where rent is optional. In California and Los Angeles, the eviction moratorium is in place until June of 2023. So what does this mean? It's very likely out of 4 tenants that 1 will not pay and there's nothing you can do, or 2 will not pay and there's nothing you can do. And in that situation, you would then be out of pocket $2,000 to $4,000 per month during that entire period. Now, I'm telling you, I believe we're going to start to see across America rents falling in such a big way. People can't comprehend it. A lot of people are saying, you know what, John? Over the last 2 years, we've seen rents pick up 20% across the board. This is the new normal. This is what's going to happen. Now, rents are going to stay here. They're going to plateau here. There's no way. We're going to give up those gains. We're already starting to give them up now. And the big question is, what is that going to mean for property owners that bought multi-units and commercial properties over the last couple of years, office buildings? It means that those people are going to be in big, big trouble. Because if you buy a deal at today's cash flow and you buy a 20-unit building or a 50-unit building and rents drop 20% and you're buying it at a 6% return, that means you're going to have a negative 14% yield on that property, which is going to be devastating for these landlords. I'm telling you guys, big problems are going to come to the housing market. Smart investors right now are looking at it saying, you know what? If we're seeing all the writing on the wall, yeah, I want cash, I want good credit, I want to have a plan, I want to have a strategy, I want to know what to do, how to invest. This is what smart people are doing right now. Everybody else is like, you know what? Everything's going to be fine, everything's going to be great. No, those people that always think that what happened yesterday is going to happen tomorrow always lose money. It's the paranoid that survive. I read this book a very long time ago called The Paranoid Survive. It was by, I believe it was Michael Burry, the founder of Intel. And his whole philosophy was he was always very paranoid about someone coming up and taking what he's built. And so because of that, he always made sure he had a competitive motive advantage, and he always had this, place that he was almost like indestructible, right? So, and no matter what would happen, he would always be safe. And that is what a smart investor will do in this economic environment. They're going to protect themselves. They're going to always be looking at the downside risk, like all smart attorneys. All smart attorneys will always look at the downside risk before looking at the upside, because the downside could be far greater than what the upside could be, and the downside could be much more likely, which is exactly what I see here in Los Angeles in the housing market, exactly what I see in places like Tampa, where rents have increased 40%. Same thing in Miami, where rents have increased 54% in the last couple of years. All these places. This is not sustainable. We're going to witness a bloodbath in the housing market. There's no doubt about it. You watch also all these retirees that own these properties. They are looking at the 401k getting crushed. They're looking at the retirement getting crushed because of inflation, the high cost of utility bills and food prices and everything else. They're going to say, you know what, if I sell the house, what am I going to do with the money? The money's just going to evaporate in the bank account. I might as well hold on to the house. But what can I do? Because I can't afford the house. I'm going to move in with my son or my daughter. I'm going to move into an assisted living. I'm going to move somewhere, and I'm going to rent out the house. You're going to start to see all this happen. The housing market's going to change in a very, very big way. What do you think about this entire situation? Drop your comments below. Hit the like button. Subscribe here. And on my second channel, it's an interactive call-in show and a podcast. And, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok up in the banner. But you tell me, do you think I made the right move selling that property? Do you think that this was the height of the market? Or do you think it would have been better to hold on to this specific deal? Drop below. Let's talk about it, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.